Pay
The
attention.
the one finger salute when it's time to begin. Oh, there. It's not the one finger. Yeah, that's the one I was expecting. Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, and Dave. Boys, good to see you. Rough weekend. Let's talk about good things first, and then we'll talk about Spurs. So, Mike, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I had a pretty good weekend, man. Um, Went down to the NEFC, which is New England Football Club tournament. It's a early season spring tournament. Well, very early season for New England, especially for us up here in very northern New England, in Vermont. We're the most northern team that played in the competition. It was an outdoor competition. So we only had one day of outdoor practice with our kids. Um, it's fine, It's not about going out there and winning. It's about getting some touches in outdoors, getting out on the big field because we've been inside playing futsal. Most of our team has been inside playing futsal for the entire winter. But unlike last year, it was very successful. Last year, we went 0-3, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. This year we came in. We have a couple of new kids in the club. Um, the very first game we came out, we played a team from Medford, which is right outside of Boston, and we fucking thumped them. I mean, thumped them. Um, we were pressing high. We were playing a high defensive line. It was a lot like Ange Ball. Ball was moving quickly. It was one touch pass, um, one touch shot. For a lot of first time shots, shooting from distance. It was just a wonderful game to watch. And I thought, oh shit, we're gonna just drub the competition. Second game didn't go the same way. Second game we played a nationally ranked team, so it was a little tough. We lost 3-1. But the first game it was really funny because like our tactics were were very kind of Ange ballish, and it was funny because at one point one of the kids in the other team yelled at another kid, and the kid yells back at him, and he goes, "I can't do anything about it. They won't stop pressing. They're pressing no matter what." So it was kind of funny, but Lucas scored a couple of goals in that game. He scored in every game. He ended up with 4 goals, a couple assists. It was just a really nice weekend for him, but I mean, and for his confidence, catching up from last year. But like this entire club of kids needed the confidence boost, and they really, really got it. Like they were playing really well. The last game, we ended up drawing. Um, but I mean, if we had won, we would have been in the final, but we didn't win. But these kids worked hard, they played hard. First time outside, like it was good. Second game was more of them just being gassed out. They had nothing left in the tank. Fun time though. Like we as parents got out and got to have some drinks and do some adult stuff while the kids, ran around the hotel, getting chased by the security guard.
Adult stuff. You care to expound on that, or are you going to just
Adult
leave
stuff,
that where it
drinking.
is?
Yeah, drinking.
Okay, all right, good. Just want to check. Not that kind of trip.
No, 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 no triple X stuff. No,
All right, good. Glad to hear that.
the kids
Glad
were
to hear
with
Orgies
that.
us,
another
man.
weekend.
Or
But hey, Mike. As we know, it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It matters how you play the game, right? So the fact that they were out there doing well outside,
dude,
having
yeah.
fun, getting
Oh my
better.
God, their
This is
passing
this is
was
this is what it's about.
their passing was so beautiful all weekend, all weekend. So
Very
I
nice.
mean, I look forward to it. I also got to go to a couple of different breweries, and I got my corned beef yesterday. So
Okay, let's. I want to ask how Steve's doing. Let's come back to corned beef. I got a question on that. Is that cool?
oh, 100%.
Awesome. Steve, big news. New season kicking off for Coach Steve, and he's got a trusty sidekick now as well. You want to tell us a little bit about that and with what's going on as well?
Yeah, we're getting all our paperwork put in, but for spring soccer, it'll be myself taking on an assistant coach in front of the pod, Nikki Winks, and we will be coaching the U4 division. That is U4
Quattro.
Quattro. or quart or whatever it is in French. I don't know. This the whole language is fucking nonsense to me.
Steve, can you please get these 4-year-olds to call Nick Coach Winks? Like, please make that
Coach
happen.
Wings. Yes.
That would be phenomenal. I'd be very happy if that came to pass.
Yes, we'll be doing that. We'll be getting them saying mate, calling each other mate,
Very nice. Very
pressing
nice.
like it's nobody's business.
High and relentless. I like it. I like it.
Absolutely.
How
High
you doing? How you
energy.
doing? How you doing otherwise, Steve? What's going on?
Pretty good, pretty good. Got a bunch of work related nonsense that I'm trying to get through. It's a good time when your boss says, hey, we need you to do a lot more work, but we're also taking resources away. So good luck. It's like, well, all right. I don't know what you're expecting me to do, but unless you want to throw some more dinero my way, I
Sounds
don't
like
think you're getting much
it
else.
sounds like a search for a new job o'clock.
I thought Mike was going to say, sounds like time to form a union. I thought that was where he was going with that
Dave,
one.
I'm just not doing that anymore,
Just
man.
not doing that anymore. All
No.
right.
It's
You
fine.
guys figure something out on your own,
But luckily for me, I do have other things in the pipeline potentially, thanks to our good friend Brian from Rhode Island hooking me up.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm telling you, listeners, no matter what career path you're in, no matter what you're doing, network like your life depends on it because you never know when something's going to come up and you just happen to know somebody.
So you're saying Brian is good for more than an occasional
He,
hot take on Wicked Spursy.
I would say he's good for a lot more than just the
Nice.
occasional take, but Mike knows him best, so I guess he'd know better than I.
I want to ask Mike about something he knows about. Let's get back to corned beef.
Yeah. I'm a big
What
corned
does
beef guy.
Brian from Rhode
So
Island know about corned beef?
what does Brian know about corned beef?
Brian
Mike,
Brian's more Irish than the three of us put together.
fair. Yeah.
Brian's 133% Irish.
Nice.
That's mathematically impossible.
Not in my math.
Mike, corned beef. I've only had it done very well less than a handful of times in my life, and every other
Like
time
well
I've had
done
it,
or done well.
like properly
Okay.
tasty, right?
Executed.
Yeah.
Every other time I've had it, I've just been largely displeased and unhappy with it. So
Mhm.
so what's the deal? Like paint the picture. What's the ideal corned beef to Mikey Opopovich?
Oh, Papa.
It's very funny that my last name is the least Irish thing, that you could think of on the planet, but I am 70 something percent Irish.
What about
Um,
Jablonski?
Definitely.
Sounds Brazilian to me, actually, Steve.
That's exactly right. So Steve's Brazilian with the Polish last name. So a good corned beef, you got to have a little broth in the bottom of the bowl. You got to serve it in a bowl, right? It's got to have a little broth in the bowl. You got to have potatoes, and I don't care if you use red potatoes, you use whatever you want to use, but you got to have potatoes, and they got to be a decent size. They can't be mushy. Your vegetables, your carrots, and I've always been told that the proper vegetables are carrots, potatoes, turnip,
Hmm.
and cabbage, of course. Um, but your veggies have to have a little bit of a, like, what do they say, tooth, like a little bit of bite
There's a
to them.
bite to it, yeah.
Yeah. So like it can't be mushy, and like that's the very base of it. I've learned that I now don't necessarily cook my vegetables in with the corned beef. So I don't boil the corned beef with the vegetables in there because
Got it.
because the meat is so fatty.
Mm-hmm.
It's brisket. So it kind of imparts a lot of that fat, and the fat soaks into those veggies. You don't necessarily want that. It just turns them mushy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
disgusting. And
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Mr. 70% Irish, just a quick follow-up for you. Do you season it or do you have it the traditional Irish way of just bland, tasteless mush?
so corned beef. I don't know that corn. I don't actually even know that corned beef and cabbage is actually an Irish thing. I think it's an Americanized version of the meal. But
Interesting.
um, I didn't
The
actually
correct
do much
answer is to
research.
season it.
No. So corned
Anybody who
beef, it
doesn't
has to be
season their
seasoned.
food.
Corned beef has to be seasoned. It's not.
This
It
isn't England. We have to season things. I'm just taking pot shots at everybody
yeah,
now.
you are. He's pissed off, and we'll get
What
into
about,
that.
we'll get to the Welsh next.
But it has to be. Don't. My
Get
wife
to
will
the
never talk
Welsh.
to you again.
Oh,
Um,
I like whales. They're fine.
um,
Nothing wrong with them.
blue whales, humpback whales,
But those
killer whales.
Northern Irish,
Baleen whales.
So anyway, yeah, it's
Scottish.
got to be. It has to be seasoned. I mean, that's corned beef. I mean, otherwise you're just boiling brisket.
All right, Mike. So let's stay on the corned beef tip.
A lot of salt. A lot of salt.
Corned beef and cabbage, typical meal, typical St. Patty's meal, or a Reuben sandwich. Which one do you pick?
Oh boy. Okay, here's the deal. I go into a, I do my corned beef in and around St. Patty's Day.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go into any kind of a restaurant and I see a Reuben on the menu, I'm getting it.
I'm kind of with you on that. I don't like corned beef, but I love
You gotta
Reuben
get
sandwich.
you gotta get a
Yeah.
Reuben.
There's
And
something
it's not
about
just
it.
about the corned beef, but the corned beef's got to be done right, you know.
And what's funny is I don't like rye bread. I don't like corned beef, but like you put all those together with that
With the
Thousand
Thousand
Island
Island,
dressing on it. Yeah,
you do a
different
Reuben,
deal.
you do a Reuben or like a Jewish brisket, like a Jewish style brisket sandwich.
Are you allowed to say that? Should we
Yeah.
get Nikki Winks on and make sure that we don't have to cancel you?
He's only half.
I'm 70%
Um,
Irish. He's 50% Jewish.
Should we get 50% of Nikki Winks on?
So Mike's Irish offenses went out in this I know I
So-
get how it works. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
so I
sense.
went to a restaurant, had my meal, and it was pretty damn good. Like the turnip was cooked perfectly because turnip is really tough to cook. But you got to have a little broth in the bottom of the bowl, you know.
Hey, speaking of
Absolutely.
turnip, there's a football club that didn't turn up this weekend.
You see,
Hey,
Dave,
there's the dad joke already.
just
there it
just
was.
before you go any further, I was about to segue with speaking of things that are cooked.
There you go. Perfect.
Maybe
Mushy and bland. We could do this all night.
Hey, shit! Before we get onto this topic here, I have a dad joke, and I'm going to tell it right now since
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So, what's Irish and sits out on your back porch all summer long?
I don't know, Mike. What is Irish and sits on your back porch all summer long?
Patio furniture.
Oh, there it is. Well done. I like that. I like that. Should have thought of that, but that was good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Classic,
Cheers.
classic.
Cheers.
Speaking of that question, actually, Beth and I were having a little debate the other day. It wasn't much of a debate because I think my answer was correct, but she was asking me, is a wooden deck, and actually, Mike, yours is a great example, the deck off the back of your house.
Mm.
When it's low to the ground, like just above the ground, is it considered a patio? Or to be a patio, does something have to be like concrete
I think
or
it's
stone
ground.
and set in the ground?
No, I think it has to be ground level. So,
Right,
like
there
mine, mine is like 2 levels.
And both
And
are
it-
decks, right? You
Both are
consider
decks. Yeah, it's a double deck, and then, and then we're actually making a patio. We're gonna build a patio
Right.
this year. So
Very nice.
new for the Wicked Spursy barbecue is the stone patio.
Fantastic.
Make
All
sure
right.
that we get over there, put our handprints in, like it's the Hollywood stars.
Yeah,
That's what we
exactly.
need.
Exactly. It's gonna have a big WS right in the middle of it.
Nice. So,
People are gonna
so
be like
back
wild
to
stallions.
back to back to mushy vegetables that didn't turn up this weekend. Tottenham Hotspur. Where do we want to go? Steve, you want to get us started? What did you see and dislike about this past weekend?
You know, I've thought a lot about it, and I think the thing that I disliked the most is I didn't really see anybody taking sort of responsibility on the field to change anything. It seemed to me, and Mike, you watched this a lot more recently, so maybe you can correct me if I'm thinking about this with too much distance, but the way I remember watching it at the pub with the guys, it just seemed like a lot of individuals, and some of them were trying harder than others, but none of them were trying to bring everybody together and be cohesive. I would say that the right-hand side was a bit better. I think between Romero and Porro, not that they were particularly outstanding, and Kulusevski to a certain degree, but they had a little bit more cohesion. But outside of that corner of the field, everything else just sort of fell apart. You could see times where like Sar would try to, put the thing on the back and force an issue, or you could see Sun trying to make a run and failing. But that's about it. Like you would have expected, especially from Captain Sun, to try to rally people to try to get the team playing together. I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. It just felt very isolated to me.
I have so my rewatch, yeah. So I guess Romero was actually kind of just Romero was okay. Um,
Yeah, not spectacular, but
he wasn't too terrible. I think Poro wasn't great. I think Kulisevsky looked really slow. Um, he seemed to be like just running the ball into the corners a lot and getting like directly and right into the fullback for his credit, and I know that this is gonna piss off a lot of our listeners overseas. Um, but Anthony Robinson just completely fucking pocketed him.
Mhm.
And
True.
and he in statistically, Anthony Robinson is one of the top three um fullbacks in the league. He's just very good, and he uh he put that ball in for one of the goals.
He's super underrated. And to be
He is
fair,
super
I
underrated, and
do
I'm
think
and I'm quite
Kulusevski,
sure I'm quite sure you're gonna hear a couple other podcasts from probably dig him out a little bit, but
yeah, unfairly. But to
unfairly
Kulusevski's
he's
credit, I do think he improved when he slid more centrally. He
right,
was
and I
definitely
think that's
much more dangerous.
I think we don't necessarily have to get into everything that happened in the game because the game was overall, I think, very
Crap.
poor. I think it was a very poor game to watch. Um, what you can take from it is as a fan, as a viewer, um, is that this is not the type of football or soccer that we've come to expect out of this team. Um, we have been sold the idea that this shit's going to happen, right? We kind of expected it to happen in the beginning of the season. It's happening now. Okay, so we had that run of what, eight games, 10 games where we were kind of outstanding. So it's kind of stellar, right? And a lot of it is due to the fact that it's not. I don't believe in new manager bounce. I think that's fucking bullshit. I think it's due to the fact that the teams didn't know how to play against it. Um, we had guys that were fully fit. We had guys that had clicked and gotten together and gotten used to each other over the preseason. And then so had that all that shit that we were sold happened, you're gonna have a run of games where nothing is working and you're getting scored on at will and blah 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 and everything's going to be bad, and then all of a sudden something's going to click. You're going to have a run of great games, then you're going to have a few games here and there where it's just like inexplicably you lose inexplicably, and then by the second third year you guys are going to be fantastic, right? So we got that mindset going. We're going to be unreal, right? We're just going to be unreal, but it's going to click later on. We're gonna lose games up front. We didn't. So what happened is like everybody got used to winning. We did the little could we thing, right? And now people are fucking. You're hearing Ange out. We're hearing people jumping off the fucking ship because you lose to Fulham. Yeah, it sucks to lose to Fulham. You got to beat these types of teams. You have to beat these teams. But we're in the middle of this rebuild, right? This is not the final product. A lot of these guys aren't going to be around, right? When the final product happens, we're going to bring in players that are unexpected, that are underrated, that are flying under the radar. We're going to bring in probably some pretty big names over the summer. But, Ange told us it's going to take at least 3 windows. And he hasn't had 3 windows yet. I'm not really worried about it. Just it was just not a, this was a shit product. And for my last 2 cents, I don't think it's that Ange has been found out.
No. It's
No,
I would agree. It's not that he's been found out. It's
I think
just that the players didn't
Fulham
show
was
up.
well prepared. Yeah, they didn't show up. Fulham was well prepared. Our players didn't show up. Son was disappeared again. He when he was trying to receive the ball or did receive the ball, he was not active off the ball. His work rate sucked the entire game. Like
yeah.
there's a lot of things for fans to get pissed off about because these players just didn't show up and they didn't work to do what they needed to do. I honestly thought Werner was decent when he came on. I mean, except for that, you know,
Miss.
he was outside anyway. Let's just put it that way. Um, but Brennan Johnson, I think he was okay.
No,
He,
he's due for another benching. He's one of those guys that he's going to
but
have a streak, and then you got to sit him and
you
get him
have
hungry
streaky
again.
guys on this team.
I know.
Sar was outmatched in the midfield. He looked like he was lost half the time. The chaos that he usually creates just it didn't come off in this match because let's face it, Fulham was just very, very organized. They were just very organized, and they stuck to the game plan, and they didn't fall out of it. What did we talk about last week? First half last week for Villa, pretty good. They kept us under wraps a little bit. Didn't let us score. Kept us under wraps, and everything was was okay for Villa. And then they went back to this thing where they just opened up and allowed us to play our game. Teams are not going to allow us to play our game.
Well,
And
the difference though was the goal as well, right? Like when we score goals, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
yeah, and this is the first time for
yeah,
fucking ever that we
when
have
you're
it.
blanked, it doesn't change the dynamics of the game. I'm gonna go back to the dad comments. I'm not mad. I'm just super disappointed, right? Like any team at any level in any sport is going to have a stinker of a day on occasion. That happens. It's normal. It's life. But I think Steve, you let off with saying like they were just wandering around aimlessly though. Like nobody was even showing that they were pissed off.
Yeah.
Nobody was even trying to like rally the team together. And that's the part that is really hard to connect with. Like hey, are we athletes, professional athletes? Absolutely not. But you put yourself out there, you'd be like, man, I feel like I'd at least be trying to do something to change the nature of this. And there was nothing happening there. And it's funny, while I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, like, what happened? Like, what happened in the training room this week? What happened in the club this week? Like, was there another like Jan Vertonghen's wife, affair type of thing? Like back in the day, was there like some crazy in-house drama that just had everybody pissed off at each other to have them not even like be there for each other in the game? That was really frustrating and disappointing. My hope is a couple weeks off will help. My hope is none of the guys that go away get injured, as is always the damn
It's gonna
case, right?
happen.
It's
Somebody's
gonna
getting
happen,
hurt.
yeah. Um, and I continue, and I think you guys are on the same page. I continue to support what Ange is doing and how he's doing it. Like his approach, it's the right approach, and he's changing the culture of this whole thing. But part of that culture has to be that those stinkers that we saw on Saturday, those have to be fewer and further between. They can't pop up like they did.
I,
Yeah,
I, I, oh, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
the only criticism I really have of Ange is how long it took for him to hook some of these guys and make some changes.
Right.
Because, we were watching this, at the pub with Vermont Spurs, and man, like at halftime, we were identifying some of the players that needed to be hooked. Let's get Timo in for Johnson. Let's get Richarlison up front. Let's,
And we call all of it exactly. I mean, I wasn't with you, but on the chat, we were calling all those subs, right? Like
yeah,
30 minutes before they happened.
yeah. That's the problem though, right? It took
Yeah.
30 minutes. And by the time I think when Fulham scored their third goal was when a chunk of Vermont Spurs just kind of threw their hands up like we needed changes well before that. And now it doesn't really matter when they come because what are they gonna do?
This is something that we can criticize Ange on, and I have.
Rightly so, to be honest.
His
I
his
mean,
his his subs. So his subs are his sub. We'll say subbing game is erratic. It seems to be erratic. Like sometimes like his subs are like spot fucking on, right?
And you
But
didn't even
that's
realize they were going to be spot on,
and
but they
that's
were.
when we're playing well. And it's like you're like, these are the subs that he puts out there, and you're like, oh, I never thought of that kind of that combination, because we're
Mhm.
usually thinking like for like. And when he makes those subs that are really, really important to the match, that are really just kind of spot on, yeah, great. That's fantastic. But the when he doesn't do it, it seems like you can call out when he's going to do it, what he's going to do, and there usually are like for like subs. It's like like he's throwing his hands up in the air, going, I don't know what else to fucking do. We can call out Ange for his tactics. I do it with my NFL team. I do it with my goddamn baseball team all the time. It's like, why are you hooking the pitcher now? When he's still got some gas left in the tank. It's just we're allowed to do that as fans. We can sit there and do the armchair quarterback thing. We can do that. We can sit there. We're allowed to do that. We pay money to watch this club play. So as far as I'm concerned, we're allowed to do a little bit of that, and that's what we do on this podcast all the time. It doesn't mean that we don't believe in this manager. I wholeheartedly believe in this manager. I just think that sometimes he just doesn't get it, or he just throws up his hands and said, I don't know what else to fucking do. Hoiberg for Basuma, you know, and fine. Like, Hoiberg actually was not terrible either.
Mhm.
Um, Basuma, I mean, we could talk about Basuma too. But like, I think that Ange has to be criticized by fans. I don't think that he needs to fucking go. I think that
Absolutely not.
I think people just are jumping off the boat before they actually know that the crew has got the leak under control.
Actually, I think if we're going to criticize something, the entire midfield
Daniel
was
Levy,
Yeah.
Daniel Levy. Not at all. The entire
Basuma,
no,
midfield
Madison,
was
yeah.
was hot garbage for until they got subbed out. They were terrible. They couldn't pass to each other. They had no touch. They weren't making anything
Erratic.
positive happen. They were
Sun's
absolutely erratic.
touches were awful, and they're
Yeah.
getting worse, and they're getting worse. And Basuma's passing. I'd love to talk about Basuma. Steve, do you have any opinions on him?
Uh, my opinion is he probably should have been hooked in the first half at some point, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, he was not good. And honestly, if we make it back from international break, with a healthy Bentancur, I would much rather Bentancur slot in like right away. I'll give Pap another shot because I do think that he's got a ton of talent and can really make some magic happen. But Basuma has just been on a string of like average to below average performances. And
Yeah.
when the entire team around you is struggling too, and it just exposes you that much
Yeah.
more.
Bad touch, unforced errors in bad situations, like just a lot of bad. A lot of bad.
What is I just want to know, like, because he is prone to brilliance.
Yeah, but
Those
we haven't
first
seen
8 to 10
so much of
games, he
that.
was so
Yeah.
goddamn good, and then he loses his head for one game, gets a red card, and
Mhm.
falls apart. And then he comes back from that red card. He has kind of a shaky start, and then he's brilliant again, and then he's shit again. Like this guy, we know that he's prone to like streaks of brilliance and just like amazing play. And I really like when he's on, man, he is the best out there. It's I just don't know that our club can sustain a player like this being a starter. I know, like I said before, this isn't the final product, but if he can't be a solid player consistently, like, on his day, he's the best in the league.
But he's
But
not on enough, is what
you
it
know,
comes
you know
down
who
to, right?
is on all the time? Guys like Rodri. Like, and I get that he's not Rodri, and we're not getting anyone like Rodri on the team, but we need somebody that's comparable to that.
You want to see athletes that even when they're not having a great game, they're not hurting the team and they're still making something happen. And then
Instead of, hospital ball right in front of the box with
yeah,
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
around.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's change gears a little bit. How you guys feel about that?
I feel pretty good. You know what, Dave? I'll do you one better.
All right.
When it comes to changing gears,
Have at it.
that match was so awful to watch that I feel like I need a drink, and I know that there's
Mm,
somebody else who probably needs one too. But before I ask the question, there is one more thing that I do want to end on a positive, just so that we're not a bunch of Debbie Downers.
let's do it.
For as much as I criticized Ange's substitutions and some of the tactics, and I believe rightfully so, I have got to give him a lot of credit for not jumping at the media response to, well, what about fourth place? Some people will say, oh, he's lost the plot, he's already, losing his shit, or, whatever it is that people online say when, a losing manager gives a reasonable answer to a question.
As opposed to Jurgen Klopp over the weekend, right?
Yeah, throwing a hissy fit. But I really appreciated. I was like, look, you know what? I'm not here to look at, we've done fourth place before. It's happened. That's nothing new. I'm here to play football, and this is what we're going to focus on. The results will come, but, he was disappointed. He said that he was disappointed. And in the past, that I think back to the Chelsea game when we lost, but there was still some pride there. There was no pride. There was disappointment, and I'm
Mhm.
sure we will see, a completely different game when we come back from the international break. But credit to him for not getting caught up and not throwing a tantrum and whining about, oh well, maybe if the referees gave us a call, or whatever it is that fucking Arteta or Klopp or whoever the fuck else does. It's really nice to have somebody with a level head, except that, you know what, that game sucks. We were not good, but I'm here to focus on one thing and one thing only: changing the culture of this football club, and that's what I'm going to do.
He doesn't
Love
fall
it.
for that shit. He does
No,
not fall for it. And
no.
yeah.
Total
Um,
command. It's a good thing to see.
yeah, the media should stop trying to bait it too. But
That
how
Oh,
that
about
don't
that drink?
that
they're
don't
not
get
gonna
no
stop.
clicks, Stevie. That
They're
gets
not
no
gonna stop.
clicks.
I mean, they
Yeah,
still think
yeah.
that Kate Middleton is missing.
Well, hey. I mean, look, there's a lot of
I'm
evidence
not
out
missing
there.
her, so I don't know.
My Twitter
Oh,
feed
hey.
says my Twitter feed says she's out there somewhere. I
I want to believe.
I see what you guys did there. Little X Files.
Anyway, yeah. So
bada
about
boom,
that
bada
drink,
bing.
Dave, do you have a drink?
I do. I'm enjoying Athletic Brewing IPA. It's
Oh,
not bad stuff, man.
I've
It's
got
not
my
terrible. I enjoy the Pilsner a little better, but
Yeah.
you can't see
S-
it, but this is a
Steve's got a
Hogback
beard
Matson
that's got a white
Pilsner.
label.
Yeah. That's like a
Honey, I
ghost.
Shrunk the Pills.
There you go. Very
I
nice.
enjoy it, but that's me and you.
Yeah.
But there's somebody else.
I'd love to ask a question. Can I ask it, Steve?
Dave, I would love for you to ask this question.
Mike, I am wondering, as is Steve, as are all of our listeners out there who love when you do this. What you
Thank
drinking?
You know what? We talked recently about maybe it's Hey Mike has come to an end.
Maybe
Oh,
it's Maybelline.
are
You
you?
know what though? You know what? You know what's happened?
You're saying not tonight?
Not tonight, motherfucker. Babe Ruth just signed for the Boston Braves. And he's about to hit 3 home runs. Because we talked a couple, I think it was a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, about how Steve sometimes, his generation likes to go into their little boxes when things get tough.
Steve, I feel like Mike has been working on this monologue for like a day or so. Are you getting that same feeling?
It's
I
fine. I'm in my
saw
safe space. We're good.
you, yes, exactly. Which is why when Tottenham Hotspur play a game like this and are quote unquote, and I'm going to do the air quotes for the people on TV, Spursy, um, you might need a double safe space.
Oh my gosh.
Good Lord.
So we did safe space a year or so ago, right?
That is the most unicorny, rainbowy
Which is this
can I've
one
ever
that
seen. Yeah.
which is this one. This is Safe Space
Yeah.
by
But no,
Conquer Craft Brewing.
the one you just brought out is a whole different level to that. There's an
This unicorn,
exponent.
so this unicorn looks like it's done a bunch of coke.
Yeah, that unicorn's on crack. No
This
question.
this is a reference that might
That's
go
an
over your
unsafe unicorn.
this might go over your heads, but I'm reminded of an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants
I
where
thought
they
you were gonna
try
say
to
like
send him
iCarly or
to
something like that, Steve.
they point out, oh, you need to go there to Weenie Hut Jr. And he's like, what? It's like, oh no, I meant the place next to it, and it's a mega Weenie Hut Jr.
So what they've done here with this, this is the fifth anniversary apparently of so they did a double version of the of their kind of flagship safe space safe beer. So um this says it's a double safe space is a bigger, bolder sibling of our classic safe space and New England IPA. All the haze and juicy goodness you're used to with safe space, just amplified. Bigger, bolder flavors punched up with the addition of Galaxy hops to the already tropical citrus combo of Citra and Vic Secret. I really like Galaxy hops. Galaxy hops, kind of you see them more in a lot of the quote unquote Vermont IPAs and New England IPAs that other states make that are outside of New England, right? But it's just that there's something about the way that they brew beers in those other states that just don't hold up. I'm kind of excited about this, mostly because I saw this in the cooler at Concord Craft Brewing, and I thought like this is an acid trip in the middle of having an acid trip.
Okay.
I'm just
I'll
Just
have to
looking
take
at the
your word
label.
for it.
Just looking at the
Oh, yeah.
looking at this label.
All
It's
right. So what are we
wild.
looking at here? Show me the glass.
Oh, the glass is thick.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a nice color.
Yeah.
It looks really
It's
classy.
bronze.
Orange juice, man.
It's bronze.
Like
Yeah.
old orange juice.
That's a good thing in
the beer world, yes.
in the beer universe.
The Bruniverse.
The Bruniverse. All right. I'm just gonna go right for it, guys.
Drink it
Wow.
with your mouth, not your nose. It's not an unpleasant look.
That is boozy.
Boozy.
That comes in at 8.7.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, so it's wicked boozy. It doesn't taste anything like its sibling.
How safe do you feel?
So I feel doubly safe. I might actually crawl into a safe space if I when I finish this actually. It's really really good. It's got the Galaxy hops does dumb down a lot of that. Because the Galaxy have like sometimes very piney a piney quality to it, and it really did kind of dumb down a lot of that big citrusy that notes that come out of that safe space beer. I really actually like this. Amy would like this, in fact.
Ooh.
Well, Amy
So
likes
it's a chick beer, is what you're saying.
it's not a chick beer because Amy likes her IPAs less citrusy and less fruity. She's big into hops that what's the word? What's the hops that kind of tell a story versus like hops that like are gonna
Hip hops?
just are gonna pop you with citrus. And I'm not buying into your shit right now, Steve. That are just gonna pop, like they're gonna hit you with a lot of citrus, and your heady toppers, your focal bangers, like big fruit hop bombs, right? She likes those hops that kind of just give that bit of bitterness, and she likes the piney hops, and
So this one would make her hoppy.
she likes it would make her hoppy. She likes the West Coast IPAs too. So we both like different kinds of IPAs. I'm going to give this one
Oh, moment of truth.
Here it comes.
How tuned in are we?
4.1.
God damn it.
Go ahead, Steve. Tell them the scores we gave.
3.9, 4.0.
You guys are dialed right in.
Damn, man. Damn. Well,
I'm going to start including a margin for error on mine.
that's true. Plus or minus 2, right?
Plus or minus 2. You can't, there's no, is there a margin of error? You
No,
can't
you
do
can't
this.
have a margin. Not on this tight of a scale. Impossible.
I'll make it
right?
possible.
But maybe we could score on a curve from here on out,
Anything is
though.
possible. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Yeah.
Ooh, was that Garnett?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It's also from a Lonely Island song where they reference Garnett.
it's true. That's true.
Okay.
I think was that I'm on a boat. Is that one?
Yes, that is I'm on a boat
That's a fantastic song.
featuring
Fantastic.
T-Pain, who is, by the way, a much better singer than
He's
I
a good
ever
musician,
gave him
isn't
credit
he?
for.
Yeah, he's got like that live little act he does, right? It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
dude, I always thought he was just like that auto-tune guy who shows up on, certain songs, but like I heard his live album recently and he is good, like
Yeah,
actually good. I
absolutely.
was impressed.
Mike, have we given you time to think of a song? We've been trying to like buy you a little bit of time here.
Oh, shit.
To do the double unicorn
Let me do another one.
zippity doodah.
We even threw you some hints, you could go Lonely Island, you could go T-Pain, you can go
Anything is possible.
you can go your own way.
The boat engine makes noise, mother.
You know what? I'm on a boat.
It's a fantastic song.
You know what? Let's go. I like Gone Daddy Gone from the Violent Femmes.
Ooh,
Violent
that's
Femmes,
a good
man.
one.
Haven't heard them in a while. That's a
This beer makes me feel sunny,
Mm.
and kind of happy, and it's just like one of those like. It's got that xylophone in it. That song. And it just kind of like but kind of makes you bop. I feel like I'm bopping right now.
My
You know,
cousin,
Maybe that's the 8.7. I don't know.
I remember this was like 15 years ago when my cousin was about 3 years old.
Steve was an
remember-
embryo.
I remember being in the car with my uncle and her, and he was playing that song, and she was sitting there rocking out to it at like 3 years old, and it's like, yeah, everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah, but the thing about that song is it's a happy song. It's got shitty lyrics, like sad
Oh, yeah.
lyrics.
You're
Gone, daddy, gone. The love is gone.
You're just making me think they're like Blister in the Sun when you hear those like opening notes of that. Like that just it flips a switch in your brain. Like, oh, this is going to be good. That's.
I think of
I mean,
Grosse Pointe Blank every time.
any guy in the '90s who had an acoustic guitar, that's like one of the first ones you learn how to play is Blister in the Sun, right?
Good stuff.
These days it's Wonderwall.
Dude,
These days.
don't you shit on Oasis ever. I will come to your house.
Look, not shitting on him. It's just, back when I was in college, if you ever had some guy with an acoustic guitar and he breaks it out, it's always Wonderwall he's going with.
No Dave Matthews? Come on.
Nah, but then again, I went to school in Burlington, so, what are you going to do?
Indeed,
one of our guests that's coming up is a big fan of Oasis.
We have a guest coming up. People still want to come on the show.
Yeah, apparently. And it's not about the number of viewers we get. It's not about our fan base.
I would hope not.
You know what it's about? We're good dudes.
Try to be.
I think we're good dudes.
At least 2/3 of
Are
us.
you referencing Ricky? Is that who you're thinking of, or who's the big Oasis?
Yeah,
fan?
I am going to go ahead and call him my pal.
Yeah,
Brian from Rhode Island.
Good dude.
Brian
Nikki
from Rhode
Winks?
Island. Brian from Rhode Island's got an open invite. Nikki Winks. You'll invite him on, and he'll not text you back for like 6
Oh, sorry.
6 to 8 weeks. He's like, "Oh, sorry guys, I
Gonna be
was,
like-
I was teaching a
It'll be
class.
like, hey guys,
over at
when am
St.
I
Mike's.
coming on?
I was And then he's like, "Oh, if you guys ever invite me on again."
Then don't you love it when he like drops a take on the chat? That's something that we've exhaustively discussed on the pod, and clearly
Clearly he hasn't been. Clearly he hasn't been listening.
Bingo.
So that was Hey Mike.
Yeah, this has been Hey Mike, what you drinking? Well done, Mike. Enjoy that.
4.1 Concord Craft Brewing.
Enjoy your double
states weight.
rainbow unicorn orange juice.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna post a picture of the two unicorns because one
All
is
right.
definitely like
So Dave, here's a question for you.
Okay.
If it looks like orange juice and it has
Mhm.
a high alcohol content, is
Is it a
it more
mimosa?
like, well, yeah, mimosa. I was gonna go with screwdriver, but either
mimosas
way,
are for children and
What's
Christmas.
what's that on the office when Michael thinks he's invented the screwdriver, but he calls it something else. He's like a vodka orangish or something like
yeah.
that. That's good stuff.
I know what you're talking about. That's classic.
Hey, let's talk for a minute about some Vermont based stuff going on. So this week
Yes.
you got a soccer game that's important this week, and then actually later in the week there's a basketball game that's important. Anybody wanna run with either of those?
Let's talk
Steve,
soccer. That's coming right
let's
up.
let's talk soccer because that's the most important thing in our lives.
So this one is actually kind of exciting
After
for
our
us.
families, of course, like
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, mine's coming to me with the game. It's wild though to think about. Like, I just can't get over the fact that mid-March in fucking 30-degree weather, we are going to be watching a soccer game for a legitimate US competition.
An actual legitimate competition.
Yeah, US
There's a
Open
real
Cup.
trophy involved.
Yeah. Like actual team, well, I mean, actual teams typically played in it if, half the MLS didn't decide that they were too good for it now.
Fucking
Fuckers.
douchebags. Douchebags.
But yeah, Vermont Green is hosting a USL One club in from Kentucky, Lexington SC. Go Green.
Go green. So fun little up the fucking green is what we say. UTFG. So fun little thing that connects right to this podcast is that they have a player on their club. Steve, name?
His name is Cameron Lancaster.
Cameron Lancaster, right? So he was in the Tottenham Hotspur Youth Academy. He came up through with guys like Harry Kane, Ryan Mason, Adebayor, and he was apparently through some conversations with a young man, a handsome young man who used to do a Tottenham Youth Report for the Fighting Cock, and then moved on to his own thing. Tiny little podcast called The Extra Inch. I talked to Wendy about him. Wendy did say that yes, he remembered him. He also did say that he wasn't necessarily the best player. He did have a quote unquote cap for his. He had an appearance for Tottenham Hotspur. One appearance. It was like for 7 minutes, and he spelled Adebayor.
It's funny because I
Wendy
remember.
did say that he was promising, but he had an injury that kind of derailed things, but he was not necessarily the best player, which makes sense that now he's now in a USL One competition at
31 years old.
1 years old. Yeah,
It's funny
so
because I actually do remember
he
playing
is
FIFA.
their center forward. He
Yeah.
is their star player on that team.
I remember playing FIFA back in the day, and it was like you had him and you had Harry Kane as your youth options. And it's like, well, which one am I going to go with? At that point, nobody knew who the fuck Harry Kane was. So it was a toss up. And, one of their careers really skyrocketed, and the other one ended up in,
It's
USL
gonna
One.
really suck when he gets pocketed, when he gets stuck in Musa and Dai's pocket the entire fucking
Yes.
game.
Hey Mike, I got two questions for you on the game. One, is there a stream at all for it?
There will be a stream. So the stream's being handled by unfortunately by the US Soccer Federation. So well, I'm not worried
Bunch of
about them.
greedy hacks.
Wait till you see the tifos that we've been making.
Nice. And second
for the
question,
MLS.
second
Yeah, go
question
ahead.
is, so I mean, I know that you've got some nice inside knowledge with the club. So just given the timing, right? Like we're Green are a summer league college based team, so all these kids are still in school for the most part.
Right,
So
right.
what is their ability to practice and get together as a club prior to this
So
look like?
a lot of them came in Thursday, Friday. Guys like we have a lot of returning players, guys like Dylan Lane, Musa and Dai, um, are here.
Bazzini.
Bazzini, the guys who played for Vermont, Pacella,
Mm-hmm.
Bazzini are here. Um, Nathan Messer has just been signed by Rhode Island FC, so he will not be back. That was a hope for us. Stellar midfielder. He got signed by Rhode Island FC last week and already featured on the bench. And so he's one of these guys who's going to be playing for a championship team. But I will say that we're gonna have a banger of a fucking club out there, man. We got some dogs out there, and I think that Vermont Green is going to compete. So they came in Thursday, Friday, right? A lot of these guys are returning players. We have some new players that are coming in. My inside knowledge is the fact that I am friends with the owners of the club, the founders we call them, and they they let us know little things as they're coming out. It's not like I have like months and months advance notice. I didn't know any of these players until like a week ago. So I think we got a really good chance at winning this game.
Nice.
Lex SC has been picked to finish first or second in the USL one competition, which is one step below championship. And so far, their two games, they have not performed up to what they've been predicted. They have had an entire preseason. We have had 3 days. Actually, there was on Saturday, there was a call out to anybody in the Boston area to go pick up a couple players at the airport to bring them so they come train. They've been training twice a day. In fact, they're out there right now on Virtue Field training for tomorrow. So they're probably doing their final walkthroughs and that kind of stuff. Coach Pfeiffer has been appointed sporting director of the club. So they now have a sporting director. He knows the ins and outs of that. The thing with the college players, we couldn't get back everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of unfortunate, but we couldn't get everybody back right now. The players that are going to be playing for us in the spring and summer, a lot of them can't come because their colleges won't let them out of their commitments. The NCAA didn't like it. But
Greedy ass bastards.
we're one of the only USL 2 teams in the competition that has college players on their roster for this cup run. Because a lot of them didn't know that they were allowed to use their college players.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So Seaboats United and Western Mass, I think they were out at last minute trying to recruit players to play like locally. So I think Vermont Green
put a sandwich board on the corner, seeing if
yeah, like
wants to-
guys, teams like Ballard who are in it every year, like they will have a good shot. Western Mass is the only team who's ever come in and won a first round from the USL 2.
Interesting.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Lexington they're a new club in USL 1. They're going to come in with a lot of older players, guys who are and some of them are younger players as well, but they have guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s going up against a lot of college kids, but I think we have a really, really good shot at beating them.
We certainly have the voice coming. I believe they said it was close to sold out, or maybe it already is.
It might be sold out by now. I can tell you that the Green Mountain Boys, we stole our supporters group name from Celtic, so we're the Bahoys. We have our section roped off. We're gonna be out there at 4 o'clock tomorrow, hanging our flags. We have smoke, we have megaphones, we have drums, and we have a lot of the Montreal Impact supporters coming down as well. So
Ooh, those
yeah,
guys are
the
wild.
collectif is coming down. Yeah, so
Very
it's
To
nice.
gonna
help
Very
us,
nice.
right?
it's going to be a wonderful experience at Virtue Field, and I'm so excited. As you can probably tell, just
You just can't
running
hide
off
it.
at the mouth. I can't. I'm running
Yeah,
off at the
I'm
mouth. I just
pumped
can't hide
too.
it.
You're about to
My
lose
son,
control. And I
and
think I
to
like it.
top it all off, my son will be a an escort for the players tomorrow. So
Mascot. We call it
Yeah,
mascots.
yeah. Escort sounds a little shady. I go
he's
with mascot.
escorting the players onto the field.
Weird, Mike.
And
Weird.
the second he comes off of the field, he's going to go with his friends and not watch the game, while Lily and I are front row, front and center.
Well,
Very
yeah,
good.
somebody
Very
has
good.
got to do it. You know
So
what? I'll tell you what. My son
Steve,
is
come to me if you need to get into our section.
absolutely. My son is very excited. You know what he's been telling me all evening here?
Dad, I'm going to dye my hair green.
Tomorrow, we're gonna go to the soccer game and I'm gonna get ice cream.
Yes,
Those
he
are
is.
those are two good things.
30
It's gonna be
degrees,
30.
and this
It's
kid's
going to be
like,
30 degrees, and he's getting
fuck
ice
it.
cream.
I
30
want my Ben
degrees
and Jerry's.
and mixed precipitation. He's getting Ben and Jerry's.
Whatever, he'll be fucking bundled up. He'll look like a goddamn, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just puffed out there.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, like, half of the audience by now has tuned out. But I don't really care, because this is if anybody wants to learn about Vermont Green Soccer Club, I think that most of our audience comes from the land of the extra inch, comes from the land of
Come
fighting
from the
cock,
land down
and
under.
those are the people that I think that those fans would completely buy into the mission and the vision of the club. So
Plus,
look
it's
into us.
grassroots soccer.
Look into us. Yeah. It is grassroots soccer. It's wonderful. It's beautiful.
It's fascinating.
Lovely,
Plus, what
lovely
the fuck
stuff.
else are you gonna watch? I mean, we got
Yeah.
international
What
breaks
time is
coming
that
up.
match,
Who the
Mike?
fuck cares about that?
What time is it tomorrow? I just want to know.
So
I'm gonna
7
find
p
the screen.
7 p.m. I will be there at
All right.
4:30.
You're gonna be cold and ready, but hey, that's all good. I'll find the stream.
I'll be drinking.
I'll let you guys know how the stream looks from a consumer standpoint. Just
Yeah.
Take it out with the U.S. Soccer Federation if it's crap.
there. No
I'm gonna
problem.
I'm gonna put it on the Wicked Spursy Instagram, and I'll put it on, and I'll send it out to the rest of the folks who can't make it.
All right, very good, very good. Boys, I think we should probably start thinking about our closing thoughts. What do we have on our minds as we're going into a international break? Mike's finishing off his beer, feeling good in his safe space squared. All good. Steve, what do you got for closing thoughts, buddy?
I'm kind of annoyed that of all the games for us to lose that way, it's one right before an international break. Just because I feel like the players have the ability to distance themselves a bit from the results and a bit from expectations, and focus just on their, their country, their international commitments. And I would have much rather all of them have spent that time under Ange's boot as he makes sure that
Jesus.
yeah,
no,
well,
I like this, Steve.
Okay, go. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want them
You're a hardliner.
Yeah, well, I want them to never
Like
do
stew
that
stew in
again.
their juices, right, Steve? Stew in their juices
Just
a little bit.
constant reminders,
Like
like,
that corned beef.
I have no problem with them if they, show up and it's a little bit, okay, well, first half wasn't great, but you bounce back and you really never give up, never surrender, fucking Galaxy Quest up here. But this team gave up, and I don't really like that so many of them can just put it in the rear view for a while. I would
Totally
much
true,
rather.
Steve. I love James Madison, but the last thing I want to see is him joking around in England camp. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I want to see him focused and getting down to business. So yeah, I
Well,
love where you're
Son
going with
too.
that.
Like, he's going to go to South Korea, and it's like, oh, everybody loves Son. Like, look at him. He's great. But That's another one who I would have loved to have had Ange just tell him, look, you know what? You are captain. You need to help rally the troops, get them going, pressing towards the same goal. And if they're not doing that, find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, I like it. Well done, man. Well done. Mike, how about you?
Hopefully,
Oh, sorry, Steve, back to you.
just real quick, last thought is just hopefully whoever is stuck behind shows Ange that, hey, you know what? Those guys couldn't perform, but look at what I can do. Maybe it helps us for the first game back. We'll see.
Maybe your boy Donnelly finally gets that chance you've been calling for
Maybe,
a couple
maybe.
months now, right? How about you, Mike? Closing thoughts.
Um, my closing thoughts are these. Watching the game this week, we need a window and we need a couple. I think we still need two windows. Ange might have said three, but we need two more additional. So four. Um, we need a couple of fullbacks because Emerson and whomever is going to back up Destiny is not gonna cut it, right? Um, I think that Ben Davis probably would have been the shout in this game over Dragerson. Uh, let's not dig this guy out yet. He's had one fucking start. you know, give him 10, 15 starts, and then we'll see what he brings. He's not Mickey, and that's what people are pissed about. But we need some players. Um we need a couple of wingers. We need to move Kulisevsky to the middle where he's more comfortable, to be in rotation with Sar, depending on tactics for the day. Kulisevsky I think he really is a generational talent, and he's a good person, and is someone that we need on this club to pump this team up. We need a lot of players brought in to make this club whole, and I think it's going to take some time. Um, I'm going to make a shout for Anthony Robinson. He wants to move to a big club. I will 100% have him on this club as a backup to Udogi. I think Anthony Robinson is a better passer than Udogi is. Um, he's not as good as at the one-on-one defending, um, but I will make a shout for him. And fuck it, let's make a shout for Mbappe. Just go fucking spend some money. And that's my final thought.
Yeah, close on that one. That's good. Well done, boys. Good pod tonight. It's
It was
Indeed.
been
fun. I
we
had a
we
fun time.
we made an
And
enjoyable time out of a crappy game watching experience. So all good,
we
all good.
we always make it enjoyable, don't we?
This is true. Very, very true.
Yeah. We always smile at the end of it.
All right, Jen. So Steve, as we walk away, what would you remind our loyal, loving listeners of?
Quiz.
And one more thing.
Don't be an asshole.
Thank you, Steve. Well done as always. And Mike, how about you?
Guys, the weather's coming around. It's springtime. Getting out, doing a lot of stuff. Just be safe out there.
And
Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic. Up the